Hi and welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking to those of you who are desperate to get out of your jobs, to quit your jobs and start a CIC. So I'm going to be running through in this video 3 different pathway options that you have when it comes to leaving your job and going into a CIC. So I'm going to cover the side hustle option, which is when you have a CIC as a side hustle but you keep your main job. I'm going to be talking about the part-time option of when you start to scale down, taking some days back for your CIC and dropping your hours in your main job. And then I'm going to be talking about the third option, which is just quit your main job and dive straight into your CIC. So I'm going to be looking at the pros and cons of those different options. I'm going to give you some advice of how best to go forward. So before I get into that, please hit the subscribe button for everything to do with community interest companies. If you want to book a call with me to talk about your progression out of your job into a CIC and you want to kind of get that straight in your head, then you can do that over on my website, book a call. And then I've got a course as well, how to set up a CIC and get grant funded in 4 months. That's a fast track course designed to get you funded quickly. Also got a membership, and you can also go and check out on the website. So that aside, let's get into it. So I, as you know probably already from my channel, you know my personal journey. I was a probation officer just over 10 years ago now, and I quit my job and I started my CIC 4 Elements. Did that for like 4 years with a bunch of other little entrepreneurial hustles along the way. And now, over the last year or so, I have been started a new company where I am a consultant for people who run CICs. So I help people set up their CICs. So because I mentor CICs and also have that CIC experience myself, I've got tons of advice to give you on this topic. So one of the main things I get asked all the time is, people come to me and they're like, Kelly, I'm desperate, I want to get out of my job, I'm desperate to leave. Whether it's because they're overworked, overstressed, got managers that are a nightmare, they've lost their passion for their day job, and also because the cost of living makes it almost impossible to break even when you're doing a professional job. It's very hard at the moment financially. So a lot of people are inspired, especially because we live in a broken country. Lots of our systems are broken: criminal justice, education, social care. So a lot of professionals are coming from those industries and are wanting to set up, seeing solutions and seeing how things could be better, and they want to have impact on their community, and that's why they got into those professions in the first place. So they now see that a CIC would be a better option for them because they can have impact, do what they're passionate about, use their skills that they learned in their professions, or maybe they've got life experience as well that they're bringing to the table. And they're hopefully going to be able to earn more money and have more flexible time, which means time with family, less stress, more holidays, all that kind of stuff. So we know the usual reasons for setting up a CIC. We know the benefits. It's obviously going to be better. It's more of a dream option than working in a lot of professions. So the question is, how do you make that work? Because if you are in a profession, say you're a probation officer, social worker, teacher, you're not going to be keen to just give up that paycheck straight away. We've all got mortgages to pay, etc. So we've got to pay our bills. So it seems a risk to give up a salaried job and move over to, what is an uncertain world of running your own business. The CIC, like any business, means you're going to have to hustle and put your time and energy and get that money in. And of course, it's not guaranteed in the same way a salary is. So I'm going to break this down into 3 different pathway options that you have. So let's start with number 1, which is the side hustle option. So this is when you set up a CIC while you're still in your job, right? So say you're a teacher, social worker, whatever. You're in your job, you're gonna do basically in your spare time, you're gonna set up that CIC, and in your spare time, you're gonna try to get that off the ground. Now, people in that situation often use their holidays. I've got teachers who, of course, get teaching holidays, so they get a lot more holidays, so they're able to run things in sort of out of term time, in holidays. They can run workshops, etc. I've got teachers who are running workshops after the school day because they get a bit more time. Other professions are a bit more tricky because they're more 9 to 5 structured, but people are using their holiday leaves and stuff like that to try to just set the CIC up and get going. So you can do it like that. Now, the benefits of that are that you retain the stability of your salary. So you retain the stability of their salary, and then the money that you are getting paid by your CIC to do work is then on top. So you're able to build up extra money. So you've got your main income salary, and then you've got the extra money you're going to earn from your CIC. Advantages of that, of course, are you can use that extra money to do things like pay down your debt, put savings aside so that you, when you do make the jump to going full-time CIC, you've got like a pot of savings. So there's less risk there. So being able to get yourself in a good financial position. So in terms of getting yourself into a good financial position, certainly the side hustle option is good. But the cons, of course, are time, because it's really hard if you're not all in it to really make anything work, because it is so time consuming. Doing all the grant writing applications, doing your community engagement work, like it's all time consuming. So it's going to be tough. If you're able to get maybe some volunteers or some other support in, you could balance some of that. Or maybe if you've got the money, use the money to hire bid writers to do your application, so you're not having to do it. So there are some ways around that, because you are in a bit better financial position. If you're on the side hustle option, then you could actually pay some people to get things going. And then once it's all built up, then you could then move over to doing that work yourself. So number 2, we're going to look at the part-time option. So this is when everybody's kind of got their CICs going, it's all set up, it's running. Maybe they've got their first grant funded pot in. So you're like, okay, cool, I could drop a day or drop 2 days. So you could do that. So you could go part-time. Now, again, benefits here are you're going to maintain at least half of your salary. Now, when it comes to taxation and stuff, it does mean you're paying less tax. So sometimes that can actually mean that, well, okay, you're still going to be able to pay your mortgage and your bills out of your part-time salary. And then the work that you're going to be doing with your CIC, that's going to be able to top you up. So this is a great option because you've still got some stability from the day job, but then you've also got the extra money coming in and the extra time available to make your CIC work. Now, there are still some drawbacks of this option. So often employers really don't like it. They don't like it at all. They don't like you having a foot out the door doing something else. There may be that you run into conflict of interest issues. So this is something you might have to talk about with your HR departments. So there can be some issues there. I certainly found when I did this with probation, they did not like it at all. And they actually told me at some point, Kelly, you're going to have to choose between this job and your CIC. So of course I chose the CIC. That was always the aim anyway. But they made that clear because, they, when you're doing something else, especially something that's in a similar profession outside, they don't really like it. Also, it gives people ideas inside the organisation, and they don't want everybody running for the door to set up CICs. So they're not going to want that whole atmosphere around. So those are some of the issues that you may come up against when it comes to the part-time option. And the third option is jump right in. So jump right in is when you quit the day job and that's it, you're all in CIC. Now this tends to be the one that I recommend once you get that first grant pot, if you can financially afford it. I know it's not for everybody, but if you can stretch it, even if it means you drop your income and you're going to be struggling for a little while, but you can just about make ends meet, then I recommend it, because when you are all in, you are all dedicated and you are far more likely to make a success of it. So this is what I did in the end. So what I did is I set the CIC up when I was still working. I got my first, as I said, I tried to go part-time. They didn't really like it, but they had to accept it. Then I got my first grant pot and I just quit because I couldn't deal with their nonsense. I didn't want to have to deal with the stress of it. I didn't want to have anybody else, trying to still have control over me. So I wanted to just be free to do what I wanted. So I quit. So that was my first pot, which was only 10,000 community fund from the lottery. So I quit and I got that. And what I also did is I made sure I had another income stream. So this is what I recommend with all CICs, is you work on having another income stream, another self-employed income stream, not a job. because jobs are time consuming. But if you're doing some other kind of freelance work that's paid as a self-employed person, or maybe you've got an LTD company, then you're able to balance your hours because you can manage your own hours. So what I did in the early days is I was a photographer. So I was doing like family and wedding shoots, and doing like, a wedding on a Saturday meant that I could still work all week on my CIC. So that worked for me, because I was able to balance the two, being a freelance photographer and having a CIC, so that worked for me. As things progressed over the years, I had a few other entrepreneurial schemes that I did. I used to do events, like wedding fair events, and I've done all sorts of things over the years. So I think having, and those were good things because they built up a lot of my skills as well, and really helped me understand how to make money, as an entrepreneur. And those skills are really good transferable skills for your CIC, because really your CIC should be making some other kind of income. So think of your CIC as getting grant funding in, but also making some independent income itself. And then also think about maybe having an LTD or self-employed income as well. And with that balance, you will be able to make it. And generally speaking, you'll find you're a lot better off. So within literally a few months of me leaving probation, I was earning probably more than 10,000 more a year. Plus I was doing my own hours and doing what I loved. So very quickly I was earning more free time doing what I loved. So I definitely recommend trying to do that. Now, not all of you may have something else you could freelance or sell. I realise not everybody might have that skill, so have a think about what you could do. Some things, ideas that I have are running paid events, paid memberships, online courses, selling products or services, also doing training sessions, paid training sessions, some paid workshops with more affluent people in the community, and then the ones you get the grant funding for, you do free. So coaching, life coaching, all sorts of things. So I'm sure that a lot of you do have skills that could be transferable to the market and where you could actually earn some independent income and go all in. So I hope that was useful and inspiring, and I know it's really tricky and we've all got to pay our bills, so these are all big questions that we have to work out ourselves. But if you want to chat about it with me, do book a call.